that I blocked? Oh,
I didn't tell her that you blocked her,
are we?
but yes.
I
She's
didn't
unblocked
even know
now.
that I did. I didn't know that I did block her.
Yeah.
I've been going through
No
a
stories.
big cull. There she is. I didn't block you, Shannon, by purpose. I just blocked you by accident.
I don't like being blocked by accident. I didn't know I was blocked.
Oh, there you go.
I didn't
You're
tell you. He's the one that
you're
just
unblocked
exposed it.
again now. So
There was no need to tell
Okay.
you.
I'm
Apparently there
I'm
was.
in eternal bliss. I have no clue.
There you go.
all right. Well, good. Welcome. Good morning.
Oh, let's
What are we
hit
doing
record for
today?
us.
Are we hearing the miraculous nature of your travels on travels on the bus and stuff?
If you want to, it's a bit of a story.
Did you meet Jesus?
I met Jesus everywhere. Every
That's
person was
good.
Jesus. Yeah, it
That's
was
good.
amazing. It was amazing. It was a little anticlimactic though, I thought, but it was the thought that came in. It was like, oh, this wasn't enough.
Yeah. Well,
So I
yeah.
had a moment with that. But it just felt like this is what I do all the time, but I was doing it in a different city. But it was really beautiful.
You went
And it
to a
just,
different city?
yeah, you told me to. You told me to get on the bus and go an hour. And I tried to get out of
Oh,
California, but I couldn't do it in an hour.
I thought Los Angeles was enormous. You'd be on the
Yeah, but
bus
I
like,
went to San Diego. I just went to San Diego to, oh yeah. It was oh my God, it started off the first thing in the morning. Um, it's a bit of a story. Let me just back up and say this. I haven't had a chance to say this. A few weeks back when I had that package come up, it's like it was tough for a few days. And after a few days, I was like in this place I couldn't move from. Whereas like I really feel like this is what's happening, but I know I'm not right about this, so I just have to be wrong. But I wanted to chuck everything.
that's what we're doing today, actually. Yep.
Okay. Well, I woke up that next morning and I couldn't find myself. I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything. Like I didn't. It was. I couldn't find anything, and I judged it, I guess, because it felt horrible, and I wanted to go up to the top of this building and jump off, and I don't have those kind of thoughts, and that fucking scared me. Um, and it doesn't matter. I ended up joining, and I was grateful for the group that I joined with because they're just really in the activity healing all the time. So all we did was pray. No one was, oh, there's a bird, squirrel.
Fine.
But since then, I haven't felt like myself. And maybe
Good.
yeah, and I was like thinking maybe that's not a bad thing. But I feel like I didn't have like the drive and the passion, or so I thought. Um, and I just went about just the way that I just go about. So I'm still like loving up my peoples and doing my thing, but it just didn't feel like I was wrapped up in the course, like wrapped up, so wound up, like in all of my activities. And I feel like that was sort of my protection. So when you told me to take the trip, and a few times I had left your message, like, I think I need to tell you what happened. And every time I tried to tell you what happened, what would come up at the same time was like, is it true? You know what I mean? It felt like every time I would try to tell you the story, I was cementing myself into something. Like I'd made a decision about myself. And I kept going, is it true? And it wasn't really true in the moment. And there was a little bit of wanting to blame you for me not being myself anymore. So I couldn't find a way to say it. So I just didn't talk. I didn't tell you about it. And I just went on with just the last few weeks. And then when you gave me the assignment to do this, I'm not really scared of what you asked me to do. But all of a sudden I started having thoughts of I'm going to die on this trip. Like I'm going to, I was going to go to Vegas and there was like a shooting the day before. It was like I just kept thinking this, and I kept thinking, Dave is killing me. I'm gonna do this, and there's gonna be a bus wreck, or there's gonna all of a sudden, because I'm cool with the homeless people in my neighborhood, but I'm not. Maybe the homeless people, and my friend had gotten beat up on the subway, and there's all this stuff, and I was like, okay, but this is what's given. So that morning I woke up and I was like, all right, just like always, Holy Spirit, I'm just gonna go do my thing. Just you be with me. So I packed a course book, just one, and all my 20-minute books. I made some tea. And at the last minute, I thought I'm gonna take my yoga mat. So I had my yoga mat, I packed up some tea, da 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 da. And I just walked out the door and I was like, okay, I don't know what's gonna happen, just right on. But I didn't feel the same protection that I normally have because I'm so wrapped up. I haven't been able to do my lessons or anything like that. So I feel like I'm doing the right thing, so I'm gonna be good. God's gonna be with me. But I wasn't in those things. So I was like, is God really gonna be with me? So there was that sort of a feeling. But as soon as I walked out the door, my neighbor came out the door, one of my neighbors up the street, not in my building, but one of my neighbors. And he was all dressed in white. That's the picture I sent you. So he was all dressed in white. And I was like, dude, you're my angel. Like, you just blessed me. Like, you just represent the angel. And he was like, no, you're my angel. And it was this really beautiful thing that he and I had. And then there was some commotion at the bus, but it was all good. Anyway, I got on the bus and I wanted to be on the bus the whole time. I ended up in the subway, which I've never done in LA. That was sort of new. And I went there and there were police, and I was sort of messaging Bernadette. I had my selfie stick. So she was kind of seeing what was going on. And there were cops everywhere. And I was like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go. And I started, when the cops started talking to me, and it ended up, he was talking to one of my friends from like 10 years ago. So me and my friend were like, oh my God, da 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 da. So I met my friend from like 10 years ago, and we like connected. We took a picture, da 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 da. That was that. I went to get my bus ticket, and there was a homeless guy that just started to help me. He was like directing me, and then he said, I need to protect you. So he stayed with me like the whole time. We had this really beautiful, like, I couldn't really hear him. So he was talking really low. So I'd have to get really close to him. So he and I got really close, and I'm going to show you something. And there's a moment we just, we're just vibing, and he was telling me about the hustle and because the subway, the Greyhound station is real scary. But anyway, I have this jacket on. It's like, it's like a chosen jacket, and it's around my waist. And he was like, what you got on? What's your fit? And I was like, dude, he said, let me see your jacket. Who's your jacket? And I was like, I was like, he's just trying to look at my butt. So I was like, dude, I'm not, you're not gonna be, no. And he's like, no, seriously, I want to see what your jacket is. So I told him, I go, it's just a Jesus jacket. He goes, you about Jesus? I go, yeah, I'm about Jesus. So I showed him the jacket, and he goes, so what does that represent? So I started telling him, I go, Jesus said when he first met the disciples, like, to cast your nets to the left. The left is the crib side. So we like had a joke about being on the crib side. So Jesus cast the nets, and they got all this fish. But he said, and not only are you about this fish, I'm going to make you fishermen of men. And he was like, yo. I was like, yeah. So this is like the symbol of Jesus. He goes, well, why are these fish going the other direction? I said, because in this direction, it's going to always lead to life. Like, you can get your fish, but it's going to always lead to death. You're going to always be going in this direction to death. But these fish, just a few of them that are going in the other direction. He goes, which direction you going? I go, I'm going in this direction because I'm about life, because Jesus says he came to give you life. So anyway, he got all geeked about the story of the fish. And it was like really beautiful. We had all that moment and da 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 da. And then I got on the bus, and there was like people going to San Diego. Stuff happened on the bus. This woman was like, oh my God, you're just taking a trip. You're just walking out. You're just going to spread love. I go, yeah, I'm just spreading love. She and I took pictures together, and she was like, I wish when I got to San Diego, I was like, I only have a couple of hours. Can I get to the beach? And she was like, oh, I wish I could drive you, but my friend is picking me up. She goes, but just spread your love. And I was like, okay, where can I go? And she goes, you can go over there, but there's not much going on. But there, I can see a patch of land. And I had my yoga mat. So I thought, I'm just going to do some yoga. So she was like, okay, spread your love. And then she goes, I love you. And I go, I love you. So we took a picture of it all like love. So I get over there. And this is when I started to film for you. I get over there, and it's beautiful. There's like this park, but there's also some stuff going on further in. But I just stopped at the park. And there was a guy, it looked like he was laying in the grass. And so I was just walking by, and I was telling you, I think I'm going to do a little yoga here. And then that's when I cut off from you. And then I walked over there, and I was looking for some shade. And he was like watching me. He goes, you can do your yoga right there. And I was like, I was just looking for some shade. He goes, no, you can do it right there. I was like, okay, I'll do it right here then. And so I pulled out my stuff, and he was just like watching me. He goes, you want me to take pictures? I was like, if you want to. So he starts taking pictures of me doing yoga. And then he goes, do you want to lay down with me? And I go, all right, why not? So I laid down, like he had his little mat, and I laid down on the mat, and we just were vibing. I was like laying on the ground with him. He was an artist, and And he's making a Bible, and he had learned that he was like he's an African Jew or something. So I'm like, shalom, shalom. And he was showing me his artwork and stuff. So it was like really beautiful. And he was like, "Can I hug you?" And I go, "Of course you can." So I'm like laying here. He goes, "Do you want to?" I think did I say this part? Do you want to take a nap? And I thought, why not? So I was like laying there. We weren't really napping, but it was so beautiful. I was just like laying there, and he was just like holding me. And I was like, I got a man, but it's like it's all good. So we started talking about um, just being free to love, like not really worrying about any barriers. And I was telling him, I go, that's what my relationship is about. It's just like, it's just a healing relationship. So we started to talk about like life and just being free in life. And then it's all about healing. It's all about the expression of love. So he was asking me about my yoga, and I was like, I mean, like you're doing your art, I do my yoga, I do whatever, but it's not about the form that these things are happening. It's just all about love. That's why I can lay here with you, because it's not about anything other than just the expression of love. And that's just how I want to be about my life. And he was like, "Oh my God, I love you." And I go, "I love you." So it was this whole day of just like love, love, love. So I left him, he sent me someplace, and I went into another area, and again, same thing, all this love. And then I get home, same thing. But I think I sent you when I just had this thought, like, I don't want to take an Uber. I could just go straight home. But I go, let me just
Catch
finish
the
this trip on the
bus.
bus. Yeah, I was like, let me just finish this trip on the bus. So I didn't catch the Uber, which made no sense at all. And I was like, why am I not getting on the Uber? So I go into the Greyhound station, and my friend is back from early in the day. He was there again. He wasn't there to do anything. I guess he works there. So now he was there to work. So I was able to connect with him again. He's like, send me the picture. So he's been messaging me. So that was really sweet. And I almost missed, I didn't miss the bus. I almost missed the bus. I sent you a picture of that. I was like, oh my God. But I missed my stop. So I ended up like missing my stop. And this is in my neighborhood. I take this bus all the time. It's like 5 minutes from my house, but I missed it. So I ended up missing it. Anyway, I had another encounter. I was like, I guess it's not done yet with this security guard. He and I are in the middle of nowhere, waiting for a bus. And so he and I have this really beautiful encounter. And it was all this love. And then I get back on the bus. I finally get home, and I'm walking home now. So I'm like, okay, this is done. But it wasn't really done. So I'm walking home, and I just had a thought, like, I kind of want some chocolate, even though I didn't really need it. And I thought, I probably got something at home. I was like, no. And I have this heavy bag. I want to just get home. So anyway, I just walked into the liquor store. And I think I've told the story about Saul and his brothers that have the liquor store. I don't know if I have, but Saul and his brothers, this beautiful little connection that me and that family have. A few weeks ago, someone passed away, and it was I think I told you when I met the gangster in the Ralphs, and all of a sudden he just like looked at me and was like, "God is good," and we were in the market like Ralph's like, "God is good," and then from there I walked out and saw someone had died, and we all vibed in that store. Anyways, he was there, and so we were talking, and I just got my chocolate, and he was just telling me stuff. And then he looked at my phone, and I don't even know why this is on my phone. Only God is was on my phone. And this is something that's been on my phone. It's every now and then it just goes off, because I thought he was talking about Krishna. He goes, "Oh, I love what's on your phone." So I thought he was talking about Krishna, because that's usually on my phone. And he was like, "Only God is." And I was like, "Oh yeah, only God is." So he and I had that little moment there in the market. And then I walked away from the market, and I was on my way home. And then the ladies were dancing in Zumba. So they were like, "Tina, where you been?" And I was like, "I just came from San Diego. I haven't seen you guys all year." So I went in there. I just dropped my bag, and I just did some little dance with them. I was tired, but I was like, I did a little dance with the Zumba ladies. I was like, "I'll see you guys in a couple of days," and then I went home. But I was like, my mind was like, I was so like, this is just what it is. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I don't know how to explain it. What came in my mind was like, I'm not, I, I had the course book, and I didn't feel to give anybody the 20-minute book. I just wanted to just love, like just the way that it looked, just love. Not, so I started to judge myself. I'm like, man, not like Dean, not like Anna, but this is all I wanted to do. Like, it's not any different than what I do every day here in the neighborhood. And I just had another really beautiful encounter this morning. This guy, he came up to me on the corner, And he just started talking to me, telling me that he just quit drinking, and he had popped into my mind. And I was telling Bernadette there was some reason I wouldn't cross the street, and I just stayed there. And then he came up to me and he was like just talking to me, and he was like, Tina, I haven't had a drink in 4 days. He says, I don't think I'm ever gonna drink again. And I was just saying, brother, I don't care what you do, but I see you. You look, you just know, like whatever happens, that somebody in your life told you that this looks good on you. Like this looks good on you. I see the light in you right now. Like this looks good no matter what. If you decide to go back to it or whatever, like right now, just remember somebody in your life said that to you. So that just happened this morning. And then there was another guy. Anyway, just so many things were happening, but I was in my mind, I was like, is this good enough? And I was like, but this is all I got. This is all I have. And I just wanted to give it away. When I was laying in the grass with that guy, I was just like, I know this is weird and it can be misunderstood, but I just loved him. It wasn't about his body at all. And I just loved that he just like held me, and it was all I had. Even though I had like a course book in my bag, and even though I had 20-minute book, and I could have done that, but I just pulled out my tea, and we just shared my tea, and just like and I told him he should have a business where this is an artist, just invites people to take a nap with him. So anyway, that's my trip.
Good. Feels good when you give your love away.
That's all I want to do.
Right. That's the true nature of the spirit, is to just want to naturally extend love all the time, all the time. The denial of the true nature of the spirit is trying to decide what you think that should look like. Because love is unconditional, and in the world we get caught up in things where the confrontation with our own reflection isn't always what we would refer to as love. Sometimes it's the yin yang of it, but that's still love. You still have to include it in. You still have to accept it as it shows up. But that's good. That's good. I like the miraculousness in the story, the people you meet, the guy in the park, and you just laid down with the guy in the park, and there's going to be that confusion every time you have a shift. Every time you go through a shift in consciousness, confusion. You don't know where anything is. You don't know who you are, what day it is, how to get around your own house. It's like you just want to lay in bed and not do anything sometimes, which is fine.
Yeah, it just felt anticlimactic the next day. In the moment, it was like so amazing, and I just felt so. And then the mind comes in, and it's like, but you didn't do this, and
because on that day you're on a mission from God, and then you get to rest. You're on a mission from God. You get on the bus, you go do your mission, you meet the artist, and you come back. Oh, this is Brian. Brian's a Brazilian parrot of some sort. He's a funny little chap. Mission from God, but like the mission from God really is every day. But sometimes you get a specific one. Sometimes you get an instruction and you just follow the instruction and you don't know what the hell's going to happen. But it's always that more is added. It's always that more is added. You always see something. You always get to recognize something. And the thing you recognized in that is that love is all you've got. That's the only thing you want. It's the only deal that makes any sense. And, anything less than that is, it's like, why would I even want that? What's going on, dude?
it's like that question, problem, the tiny mad idea. What would it be like to have more than everything? That's exactly what that is. I mean, everything was like, I don't know if that's what it is. I don't want to, again, I can't. Yeah. Okay.
Well, you're learning to become revelation ready. So including it all in, like seeing the whole thing as love. It's like it's the precursor to that. If you're still thinking there's something other than love that you want, because revelation is a total state. It's a total experience. You can't have revelation and something else. So when Jesus says you're learning to become revelation ready, you're learning to embrace the idea that there is only love, because God is everything and God is love. And you sort of figure that out in your own mind by getting out of your comfort zone. You do something that's not in your normal thing, and it breaks you free from whatever seems to be going on that you would normally have done, and allows the love to go before you in something that's new. It's like you didn't take a journey on this train or whatever. You didn't go anywhere or do anything other than say yes to love. And saying yes to love looked like all of those characters and all of those things showing up, giving you that reflection. It's beautiful how it works. But you literally have to get out of your own way to have those sort of moments that are more profound and more, it just drives it home more. Like you were fearful at the beginning, and then the whole day as the day went on, and you thought you might get killed if you went to Las Vegas, or all these worries and thoughts and things going on. And then you realize that none of that happened, actually. It's just going on in your mind.
I just heard her say, that's all I've got. And it's all you are.
Exactly. Just love. And on that note, good. Shannon, you can do the same thing. It'd be good for you to get out of the wherever you're at and do a bus trip.
We don't have buses, but I could drive somewhere where there's a bus.
You have mooses. What? You can take a moose.
Uh-huh.
Is that you?
Yeah, I jump on the back of an alpaca.
You have alpacas?
Yeah.
I have no luck with alpacas. I ordered an alpaca beanie. I have a little beanie collection. I had an alpaca beanie, and I went to Byron Bay, and it got appropriated somewhere.
Oh, I'll knit you a beanie. I'll knit you an alpaca beanie.
You'll knit me an alpaca, like you have alpacas in your house?
I have alpacas. I spin the alpaca fleece, and then I knit socks and beanies.
Oh, man. I was meant to lose my
I'll do one for everybody. And I pray.
We'll have alpaca beanies for Christmas. It's like a week away. Is that too much to ask? We have our they have to be red and green.
No, but what I do, I give a bonus because I pray while I knit.
Ooh. Oh, that's
so
lovely.
It's all in the stitches. All the love.
Little beanies of love.
Mm-hmm.
Vinka's knitting something. Vinka made me a beanie once. It got reappropriated as well, or rehomed as well. It went to, I forget who got that one, somebody with dreadlocks, and it fitted in there, and it had leaves on the side. It was a pretty one. So most of my beanies end up going to other homes. So Tyna wants my one from the Viking weekend with all the bits that stick out of it, and that's going to Tyna.
Put in your orders on the chat. I can't guarantee when you'll get it, but you'll get it.
Well, it's Christmas in a week. So
I can't get it to you by Christmas.
Where
You're
are
going to
you,
need
Shannon?
a miracle. You're going to need a miracle.
I'll need that. Yeah.
And one for Brian as well. He'd like a little bird beanie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Where are you, Shannon, in location?
Oregon.
Oh,
I'm in
nice.
Western Oregon.
I don't know where any of that is. All right. So mind training. Let's get into the sticky stuff. Otherwise, we can talk about Martha Gardner's home hints and knitting and all of these things too, which is just the same thing as mind training, really. Seen right, knit one, purl two, or whatever. It's like, there's your mind training. Every time you do it, I'm not a body, I'm free, I'm still as God created me. It's the same thing as doing like mala beads or japa beads. You just sort of do one at a time, at a time, at a time. And so I had a moment last night with myself in a different format, obviously. And I'm feeling the need to make a kind of a declaration about things. It's clear in my mind, but obviously in my willingness, I guess, to uproot even the shallow, what's that thing? Hey, you're a bit noisy. Ryan's very excited to be on television. It's like you've got to dig out every little dark nook and cranny in your healing, right? So it's like no stone goes unturned. So I had a moment yesterday of somebody telling me that their mantra was the most powerful mantra because it was more powerful than saying Hare Krishna and everything else. And I didn't know what to do with that. It's like I've met that mind in myself many times over the years where people who, or ideas that exist or that seem to float around of what being spiritual is or some sort of thing like that. And people do it with crystals. This crystal's a powerful stone and that one. And the idea of a mantra is slightly different because in mind training, we kind of use a mantra towards the end of the workbook lessons where I'm not a body, I'm free, I'm still as God created me. And we're called upon to recite that slowly over and over and over until finally in the following lessons, we step off into a complete silence in our mind training. But the purpose of a mantra, it doesn't have any power in it whatsoever. There's not one mantra that's more powerful to say than another mantra. A mantra is simply the process of and the practice of a repetitive phrase, generally, a repetitive phrase in the mind over and over and again as a point of focus. That point of focus brings to bear the mind on itself, brings to bear the mind on a sense of stillness associated with the repetition of one single thought again and again and again, right? The power contained in anything is always attributable to the mind, not to the thing itself. And early on in the course, you sort of realize how external dependencies on things that might be attributed spiritual, and I use that word loosely, spiritual value fall away. People who often have like tarot cards or crystals or astrology and all of that sort of stuff, it all falls away quite quickly and you realize that you're simply dealing with your own mind here, your own thoughts. And all of that sort of stuff is nothing more than more of the same sort of thoughts within the temporal frame that actually means nothing. But all of it, whatever it is that you're about with all that stuff, it got you to the here and now, right? Because of the purpose given it, because of the idea of the healing value of it, right? The realization where it flips over in the mind and you go from the external realm to the internal realm, like Alan Watts says, you realize that the outside world and the inside world come together and there's just simply one happening going on. But the idea of a mantra is a singular, repetitive thought. It's like doing the beads. I am, I am, I am. And that focus is where the power of the mind is contained. It's contained in the focus, right? The more your focus comes to bear on the repetition of the mantra, the more deeply the sense of retreat from the world, from linear association becomes. If you have a really, really devoted and deep session repeating or chanting a mantra, you'll realize that it takes you somewhere in your mind. It takes you into this kind of deep sense of yourself, deep sense of focus, where only the mantra exists. Interfering thoughts no longer come in. Other little subliminal kind of background noise tends to drop away. It's like when you do any kind of deep meditation. If you meditate somewhere that's reasonably noisy, eventually what will happen is that noise will disappear, because your sense of focus, using that noise to focus, to try and focus as a point of internal alignment rather than just persisting with telling yourself not to listen to it, it becomes very powerful in that regard, right? So the mantra itself, there's not one mantra that's more important or more powerful than another. It doesn't matter what words you say, whether it's Hare Krishna or Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. It doesn't matter a bit, right? It does not matter a bit. All that matters is the focus that you have on the ongoing repetition of that singular thought or that singular idea, that singular frame of reference, again and again and again, at the exclusion of all other thinking. Initially, all other thinking might seem quite strong and invasive and annoying, and it might take some kind of effort to get beyond it, to get past that, or to go deep enough that it doesn't bother you. But with practice, a mantra can be very helpful in getting to that singular point. So I had a little blessing in my hair the other day, and Brian decided that he likes to, oh, he's gone again. He likes to sort out my hair, but there was a little blessing in there, and then one went down my face into my beard, and so they're kind of good luck, people tell me. But so the declaration that I want to make is, it's not about the mantra, it's about the focus. Right? You could do it with anything. Some people have a visual mantra. They might picture a daisy flower in a field of daisy flowers, and they just focus on visually. If you're artistic, if you're left-brained, I think it is the creative mind, you might picture a yellow daisy and you'll just focus on that yellow daisy. You know, it's like, for me, I have a very artistic mind, and it's like I'm focusing on the yellow daisy, and all of a sudden a bee comes in and lands on it. It's like, well, that's an interfering thought. You know, or a cloud will go by in the distance in my like in a dream, right? Because we're in a dream. But it becomes a kind of a mantra. You can use literally anything as a mantra. So when we're doing the workbook lessons, and what was the lessons around there, Tina? 260 or something, or 360, something like that.
I'm not a body.
I'm not a body, I'm free, I'm still as God created me.
260.
When I was doing those lessons many years ago, because I guess I'd already done several other kind of before Course in Miracles meditative things, I already had some kind of an idea about a mantra, but I had to try and let all of that go, right? So the Hare Krishna one was my one. It was like Hare, Hare, Om, Hare. And then focusing on I'm not a body, I'm free, I'm still as God created me, began to naturally wind down, right? Now, this is the, what would you call it? If you look at the whole idea of A Course in Miracles as a code, it's like it's a cellular, genetic, living kind of code for awakening, that if you practice it according to your sense of your highest integrity with those lessons, workbook lessons, it'll have the max result. and your mind will begin to become changed according to your own particular association with the lessons. For me, when I was doing those particular lessons, I realized that as I was repeating the idea for the day again and again and again, I got slower and slower and slower till eventually I stopped. There were no intrusive thoughts. There was no mantra. There was no nothing. There was just this silence. There was this perfect silence, which still today, perfect silence, without needing to do any kind of mantra, without needing to focus on the idea of I'm going to sit and meditate. And from that silence in my mind, I kind of fall into a sense of listening, a sense of feeling into the silence. I don't know how to really explain that. It's something that when you come across it in meditation, you just realize for yourself, I mean, you have to have the thought to realize it, but you realize that's where I need to be, in that silence. The mantra becomes redundant. Right? Once you reach that place of silence, once you reach that place in your mind where you know where the silence is, it's like this little kind of nook. I've talked about this several times, but I never know how to really describe it. It's like a little kind of thing. You just sort of fall into it, a little space of silence there. Once you know where it is, you can enter into it without the mantra, without any meditation, anytime you want. But whilst the mind is still fastidiously addicted, and I'll use the word addicted, or desirous of entertaining temporal thinking, which is why I love lesson 10, those thoughts don't mean anything. Whilst the mind is still addicted to that temporal thinking, that silent place is very, very difficult to get to. Very, very, that silent state, I should call it, the state and place of the same thing. Very difficult to get to. So the realization that none of my thoughts are helpful, which is lesson 10, lesson 4, my thoughts don't mean anything. That realization taken on board totally helps to transcend any kind of residual or background belief that persists in pushing forward those thoughts as an option. Because until you expunge all potential, wherein you think that perhaps there's some solution to my conundrum in my thinking, then you're going to continue to have experiences of having a pollution in your meditation, what would you call it? An infiltration of meaningless thoughts. It'll go on and on and on and on and on. And you'll find that when you finish your meditation, you don't tend to carry any sense of silence with you throughout the day. Your mind goes straight back into storytelling, even into storytelling. If there's no one to tell anything to, you'll be running scenarios over and over in your mind again and again and again. And that's not inner peace. Hey, buddy. Yeah, there. Inner peace is the absence of all concepts. And concepts are all born of linear association, time and space, and the temporal identity. So there's really this, in the same way as you do a mantra and you get deeper and deeper and deeper into your focus by using a mantra, your internal focus, there's this kind of necessity in a similar way to realize that the answers lay not there in your thinking, in your conscious mind. There is nothing there because the meaning of life doesn't exist there. It exists in an experience that is beyond the world entirely, that you will encounter through revelation and revelation only. And Jesus says in the Course, I am in charge of revelation. I'm aware of, he's the only one. I'm aware of the revelation readiness of all my brothers everywhere. Right? And so when you go on a little mission and you go downtown and you meet people and whatever, because your mind is naturally now attuned to the idea of love without opposite, to the idea of giving without the need to receive in return, and all of these sorts of things that embody the true principles of spiritual life, your mind will naturally begin to seek that out wherever you go. And you'll find yourself, I mean, you may still doubt yourself and question things initially, but you'll find yourself in the experience of just being completely peaceful with whatever's going on wherever you are. Whether you're in a war zone or whether you're in a festival, or it doesn't really matter. Your peace of mind won't be disturbed because the peace of God goes with you wherever you go. And that's what you are embodying in your mantra, in your practice, in your knitting, in your prayer. You're embodying the peace of God that goes with you everywhere you go because you brought it with you when you came here. You get it? That little spark of truth that you brought with you into your dream, even into the illusion, still abides with you. Doesn't matter what you do, how much hatred or guilt or whatever you might feel, it's still there. And in the process of doing the workbook lessons and releasing yourself from the false beliefs, false ideas of being guilty or being fearful and all of that sort of stuff, it naturally begins to re-emerge because the natural gift of, or the natural predilection of the mind is to give, is to extend the light and love of God. It's not like you're looking for it. It's already within you because it's part and parcel of what you are. You are part of God. Which is why any kind of a quest to like India or the Himalayas or any of these sorts of things, they're not required. You already are what you're looking for. You've already got it within you. All you need to do is allow for it to become activated by just saying yes. Yes, I'm going to get on the bus and go downtown, despite all the things that I might think about that. Yes, I'm going to knit some beanies and sit in prayer. Yes, I'm going to, whatever it is that comes to you that's asked. Hey? It's that simple. Like it's so simple, you kind of miss it. It's like, I'm just going to say yes to whatever is asked of me today. It's like, look at it as an idea of practice. Look at it as an idea of a mission or an assignment. It's like, I want to say yes to this and then let it be miraculous, despite the fact that I might have reservations about it initially. Because if you truly knew what was actually being asked of you, you would be just like yes all day long for no reason what other than you knew it was bringing you closer to the realization of the truth of the matter, that God is what you are, making you revelation ready. You are the spirit, not the flesh, and you really have nothing to say about that. Oh, we've got a Leanne in her car with the light shining in. Is that an Anna? Oh, it's not Anna. It's usually Anna sits in her car and joins us from there. Hey, Leanne. Oh, no. So everything always works together. The mantra, the prayer, the knitting, the beanies, the going on the bus, everything's the one thing. It's this divine romance. There's this whole thing. And the more you begin to realize that you're the only thing holding you back from the realization of that divine romance, the more you begin to really freaking hate it. It's like, I can't stand being separate from love. I can't stand whatever ideas are left in here that make me think it's okay just to do my own thing and to not be given my love away. It becomes ridiculous. Just before my awakening, I remember being completely shattered, completely just, I didn't know what to do about it. It's like I just wanted love. I just wanted the realization of everybody knowing about the love I felt. Like everyone in the world, everyone in the universe, born, unborn, passed away already, sitting in the bardo, waiting for a reincarnation, whatever. There was this holistic kind of universal sense within me where I just wanted the whole thing to be one big loving experience. And then finally it was. And then it didn't matter anymore. Because I realized that that's actually how things are anyway. That's actually the fact of the matter. Everything actually is only love. It's only me that doesn't see it. So all that passion and all that everything else that was coming up, it was pushing me into a certain kind of frame of mind wherein my desire, I guess, in a true sense, not desire like a want, but my openness to being able to experience love as it is, and the experience of love as it is could come together and meet there in that sort of clearing that, you know, because you can't go anywhere with it. Once you get to that place, Tyna, and it's like, man, you were getting all choked up just then telling the story about how you just felt that love and it's like you got nothing else. It's like, that's a true thing. You got nothing else. There's nowhere you can go with it. And even though it's beautiful, it hurts inside because the body then becomes like this restriction. The body almost becomes like this thing that somehow prevents you because you feel like you're limited to the body. It's like, I want to be out there in the universe giving everybody a big hug, laying on that blanket with everybody all at once. But in that moment that you were laying with that one brother all at once, that was everybody. Because everything is one. All is one. That hug went around the whole universe. That afternoon went around the whole universe, and that vibration permeated everywhere and everything that it was meant to and needed to. And it's like, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Truth is true and nothing else matters. So the idea then that, and it is what it feels like. It does feel like that your body is somehow an idea of limitation, because that is what it was designed for in the first place, to be able to represent you on Earth in this forum of decision-making so you could get the results of your own thinking regarding your wish to be separate from everything, right? So the body was originally had that purpose, and as you repurpose it through the idea of healing and forgiveness and everything else, it begins to take on new aspects of use, new potential that represents more closely the divine nature of God as an all-giving, beneficent kind of thing. But still, there's going to come the point where you have to lay it aside, because no matter how much, like even Jesus had to transfigure, you know, no matter how much you want to love on Earth, it's still an action of mind. And when you have the experience of revelation, you'll realize that the action of your mind actually is love. It's not loving, it is love. And love is just a word, like we just talk about. Oh, there's Ebony. Hey, Ebony. We just talk about love, like we sort of put it into this thing and say, oh, well, it's love. But it's like the state of love is, there's not really a word for it. There's not really a way to talk about it. It's a unified state. So, but getting out of that routine, you know, I think I've told you guys just prior to my illumination, it's like I went on this kind of fastidious, almost maniacal kind of bender where I wanted to take leaps of faith. I went on little journeys and climbed mountains and did all sorts of stuff, and I just deliberately experimented with faith because I realized there was this higher power. There was something else going on. I couldn't touch it with my hands. I couldn't put my fingers on it. I couldn't recognize it in my thinking, but I knew that there was something, and I wanted it. I wanted it. I wanted it. It drove me crazy. There was something in me that knew it was the truth. There was something in me, that little spark of light, that little spark of truth in me, which was yet unrealized, but something inside of me was now directing me, and I was just along for the ride as the idea of a Dave. You know, so the false me and the true me hadn't yet been revealed, but it was sort of receiving the nutrition. Like, you know, people say soul food. You go along, you do some stuff, and it's like, oh, food for my soul. And it's like, and it feels good, right? So that part of me inside that feels good and felt nourished by whatever was going on was now the overriding and driving force of the part of me that thought there was something to seek for. It already knew what was happening, and I'm this kind of, or the residue of me is this thing going, what's going on in my life? I feel directed by a higher power and blah, blah, blah. But something inside was already awakening, like in you, Tyna. You're already waking up. That's why you felt that way. That's why everything was just how it was on that day on the bus. Because there's something in you, the Christ child in you, awakening. Tina's sitting there going, I wonder what that is, or what does that look like in my life? But you don't really have a say in it from this point on. It's happening already. It's already occurring. You're now basically just along for the ride. You can't avoid it if you wanted to. It's like, you know, and it's not going to make sense until you actually have the revelation. It's not going to make sense until you actually completely fall into that dark place, get to the bottom in prayer, and open that door there. You know, knock and the door shall be opened. It's like, man, that door, I buried that door behind a whole pile of judgment and crap years ago, long time ago. And I saw a funny little meme the other day of somebody standing on one side of a great chasm, you know, and it's thousands of feet to the bottom. And there's this little suspension bridge and some of the planks are missing. There's no railings and whatever. And there was a little sign that said, this is the bridge that you said you'll cross one day if you had to. You seen that one? It's like, holy shit. It's like, it's true. It's true. And you have to cross that bridge. It's like when you come to it. And it's like, well, that's the bridge. It's like in I think it's Raiders of the Lost Ark where he goes for the goblet, the chalice, you know, of Christ. And there's the chasm and there's no bridge. And he realizes it's a leap of faith, and he actually puts his foot out into the abyss, and all of his weight goes off his back foot, and boom, he hits something solid. And then he throws a handful of dust out or stones out, and he can see the bridge in front of him. But it's invisible to the mind. It's invisible to the conscious mind that's looking, you know, and it's exactly the same way. You don't know what's in front of you as far as that leap of faith goes, but it's coming. And you will be caught, you will be supported, everything will be fine. But you have to do that leap of faith willingly. It's like, holy shit, yeah, here I come. I'm doing it. And there's no thought of the body. What if there's no bridge and I skivvy down to the bottom of the chasm and get smashed on the rocks? Well, then so be it. That's what happens. You'll be back to do it again. But when you do it in joy, when you do it in love, when you do it as a total, here I am, Father. But it has to be a given thing. Like there has to be that invitation. There has to be somebody saying, hey, come and lay down on this blanket with me. There has to be that moment, you know, because love is in the moments. It's like that's, where else would it be? Brad, can you read lesson 144, please? What's going on? No? No. Oh. And you're muted too.
144. My mind holds only what I think with God.
Right.
Mm. There is no love but God's. And the world I see has nothing I want. It's about time. Oh, thank you, Father.
Yes. He's saying, don't ask for so little. Hmm.
I'm just hearing Bernadette. Don't ask for so little.
Ask for everything.
Yeah.
You're entitled to it. You're a child of God. Ask for everything.
I am everything.
Right.
Wow. My mind holds only what I think with God.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tina, for your witness. Thank you, Shannon, for your stitches. I see you too.
Can you read lesson 144, please? Shannon, you there? No, the other Shannon.
I didn't hear my name until I heard my name. I'm ready. My mind holds only what I think with God. There is no love but God's. The world I see has nothing that I want.
Leanne, Could you read lesson 144, please? If you're there. Oh.
My mind holds only what I think with God. There is no love but God's. The world I see has nothing I want.
Vinka, same lesson. Well, you don't have a book. You're walking somewhere. Kevin. 144.
I'm getting you. My mind holds only what I think with God. There is no love but God's. The world I see holds nothing that I want.
Tom, same lesson.
My mind holds only what I think with God. There is no love but God's. The world I see holds nothing that I want.
Tyna, same lesson.
My mind. My mind holds only what I think. My mind holds only what I think with God. There is no love but God's. There is no love but God's. Oh, the world I see holds nothing that I want.
Read that lesson again.
My mind holds only what I think with God. There is no love but God's. The world I see holds nothing that I want. The world I see holds nothing. The world I see holds nothing. The world I see holds nothing that I want.
Good. Danny, same lesson.
Oh,
My mind holds only what I think with God. There is no love but God's. The world I see holds nothing that I want.
Bernadette, lesson 173.
I have a block coming up right in the pit of my stomach. It makes me nauseous.
Good. That's
What is
why
it?
you're not
173, you said?
73. Just breathe.
God is but love. And therefore so am I.
Read that again.
God is but love. And therefore so am I.
Read it again properly. Let it in. Feel it. Connect with it. You're not reading to a room full of people. You're reading because it's the most important thing you're ever doing in your entire life. All in this moment right now. The only moment you have.
God is but love, and therefore so am I.
Good. Again.
God is but love, and so am I.
Once more. Feel it. Let it in. It's your truth. Something else is not your truth. This is your truth. Yes.
God is but love, and therefore so am I.
Good.
I will step back and let him lead the way. God is but love, and therefore so am I. I walk with God in perfect holiness. God is but love, and therefore so am I.
Anna, lesson 180.
I gotta bring it up on my phone.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you.
God is but love, therefore so am I. God is but love, and therefore so am I. By grace I live, by grace I am released. God is but love, and therefore so am I. There is no there is no cruelty in God and none in me. God is but love, and therefore so am I.
Say that last bit again. God is but love, and therefore so am I. That's your truth. Something else is not your truth. That's your truth. In the text, Tina, page 212, from the top, just the first paragraph. Hello. Everybody else, close your eyes and listen. You're muted. There's no. Oh, now you're not. No, you're good now.
So the top of 212, it's the middle of a paragraph.
Yeah.
So start there.
Yep. The first sentence there.
Okay, it's the middle of a sentence. So,
No, the first sentence.
okay. No one can withhold truth except from himself. Yet God will not refuse you the answer he gave. Ask then for what is yours, but which you did not make. And do not defend yourself against truth. You made the problem. God has answered. Ask yourself, therefore, but one simple question.
Ready?
Do I want the problem? Or do I want the answer? Decide for the answer. And you will have it. You will see it as it is. And it is yours already. Can I read one more sentence?
Uh-huh. Just keep reading.
You may complain that this course, Bernadette, is not sufficiently specific for you to understand and use. Yet perhaps you have not done what it specifically advocates. This is not a course in the play of ideas, but in their practical application.
Yes.
Nothing could be more specific than to be told that if you ask, you will receive. The Holy Spirit will answer every specific problem as long as you believe that problems are specific. His answer is both many and one, as long as you believe that the one is many. You may be afraid of his specificity for fear of what you think it will demand of you. It's too good. Yet only by asking will you learn that nothing of God demands anything of you. Who God gives. He does not take. When you refuse to ask, it is because you believe that asking is taking rather than sharing. The Holy Spirit will give you only what is yours and will take nothing in return. For what is yours is everything, and you share it with God. That is the reality. With the Holy Spirit who wills only to restore, be capable of misinterpreting the question you must ask to learn his answer. You have heard the answer, but you have misunderstood the question. You believe that to ask for guidance of the Holy Spirit is to ask for deprivation. Oh, oh, little child of God, you do not understand your Father. You believe in a world that takes because you believe that you can get by, that you can get by taking. And by that perception, you have lost sight of the real world. You are afraid of the world as you see it, but the real world is still yours for the asking. Do not deny it to yourself, for it can only free you. Nothing of God will enslave his Son, whom he created free, and whose freedom is protected by his being. Blessed are you who are willing to ask the truth of God without fear. For only thus can you learn that his answer is the release from fear.
Good. Chapter 31. Anna. First paragraph. So we're taking a little journey. Kevin, sit up. It's time for you to awaken. No more sleeping. Anna's going to read this to you, Kev. First paragraph, chapter 31. Put all your attention on it. Let your ears hear. Let your heart sing. The voice of an angel is about to. It's true. For the truth of you, that would be an understatement.
How simple is salvation? How simple is salvation?
All it says is what is not true. Keep reading, keep reading.
All it says is what was never true is not true now and never will be. The impossible has not occurred and can have no effects.
Can this
And
be
that is
hard?
all. And that is all. Can this be hard to learn by anyone who wants it to be true? Only unwillingness to learn it could make such an easy lesson difficult. How hard is it to see that what is false cannot be true, and what is true cannot be false? You can no longer say that you perceive no differences in false and true. You have been told exactly how to tell one from the other and just what to do if you become confused. Why then do you persist? Why then do you persist in learning not such simple things?
The next bit.
You want me to keep reading?
Yep. Yep.
There is a reason. But confuse it not with difficulty in the simple things salvation asks you learn. It teaches but the very obvious. It merely goes from one apparent lesson to the next, in easy steps that lead you gently from one to another, with no strain at all. This cannot be confusing, yet you are confused. For somehow you believe that what is totally confused is easier to learn and understand. What you have taught yourself is such a giant learning feat. It is indeed incredible. But you accomplished it because you wanted to, and did not pause in diligence to judge it hard to learn or too complex to grasp. No one who understands what you have learned, no one who understands what you have learned, how carefully you learned it, and the pains to which you went to practice and repeat the lessons endlessly, in every form you could conceive of them, could ever doubt the power of your learning skill. There is no greater power in the world. The world was made by it, and even now depends on nothing else. The lessons you have taught yourself have been so overlearned and fixed, they rise like heavy curtains to obscure the simple and the obvious. Say not you cannot learn them, for your power to learn is strong enough to teach you that your will is not your own. Your thoughts do not belong to you, and even you are someone else. Who could maintain that lesson such as these are easy? Who could maintain that lessons such as these are easy? Yet you have learned more than this. You have continued taking every step, however difficult, without complaint, until a world was built that suited you. And every lesson that makes up the world arises from the first accomplishment of learning. An enormity so great the Holy Spirit's voice seems small and still before its magnitude. The world began. The world began with one strange lesson, powerful enough to render God forgotten and his son an alien to himself. in exile from the home where God himself established him. You who have taught yourself the Son of God is guilty, say not that you cannot learn the simple things salvation teaches you. Learning is an ability you made and gave yourself. It was not made to do the will of God, but to uphold a wish that it could be opposed, and that a will apart from it was yet more real than it. And this has learning sought to demonstrate, and you have learned what it is, and you have learned what it was made to teach. Now does your ancient overlearning stand implacable before the voice of truth and teach you that its lessons are not true, too hard to learn, too difficult to see, and too opposed to what is really true. Yet you will learn from them, for their learning is the only purpose for your learning skill the Holy Spirit sees in all the world. His simple lessons in forgiveness have a power mightier than yours, because they call from God and from yourself to you. Is this a little voice, so small and still it cannot rise above the senseless noise of sound that has no meaning? God willed not his Son forget him. God willed not his Son forget him. And the power of his will is in the voice that speaks for him. Which lesson will you learn? What outcome is inevitable? Sure as God. And far beyond all doubt and question. Can it be your little learning, strange in outcome and incredible in difficulty, will withstand the simple lessons being taught to you in every moment of each day? Since time began and learning had been made. The lessons to be learned are only two. Each has its outcome in a different world, and each world follows surely from its source. The certain outcome of the lesson that God's Son is guilty is the world you see. It is a world of terror and despair, nor is there hope of happiness in it. There is no plan for safety you can make that ever will succeed. There is no joy that you can seek for here and hope to find. Yet this is not the only outcome which your learning can produce. However much you may have overlearned your chosen task, the lesson that reflects the love of God is stronger still. And you will learn God's Son is innocent and see another world.
One more sentence.
The outcome of the lesson that God's Son is guiltless is a world in which there is no fear, and everything is lit with hope and sparkles with gentle friendliness.
Good. Read that again.
The outcome of the lesson that God's Son is guiltless is a world in which there is no fear, and everything is lit with hope and sparkles with gentle friendliness.
Good. When is that outcome?
Now.
Right. When am I going to accept atonement for myself? I can only accept it now. I can't accept it in the future. It's impossible. I'm guiltless. I'm innocent. The world can't tell me who I am, what I am. I am that now. I may still have some denial looming and lurking around and whatever, and I'll encounter that when I get out of my comfort zone. It'll be there waiting for me. But it doesn't change the fact that I'm guiltless, that I'm innocent. It doesn't change the nature of the lesson, the single lesson I'm learning of my single purpose, which is to accept atonement for myself at one meant for myself in all situations. Right here and right now in this one, I'm not separate. Seems to be a room full of individual people and a multiplicity of places or stages where people seem to be at in their own transformative process. And it's not true. None of it's true. I'm a child of God. Always have been, always will be. The dream can't define who I am. The awakening process is already completed through the Holy Spirit. My invitation to the Holy Spirit to abide with me, made manifest through the witness of the baptism of Jesus by John and the descending upon him of a dove or a parrot. It's already occurred. It's already occurred. In time, that seems to be 2,000 odd years ago. But my acceptance of that, whether I think I was there or not, whether I don't know if I believe in it or not, doesn't matter. Just in my simple acceptance of it, yes, I'm willing to accept that. Until my willingness precedes me, I can't be shown anything because I'm going forward with a closed mind. In the willingness to learn, I go forward with an open mind. There's nothing worse than a closed mind, a mind that thinks that it knows something already. Until you know yourself, you don't know anything. Until you know the truth, and know coming from knowledge, true knowledge, not wisdom, not any of that stuff, not things you can learn in a book, not in church. Knowledge, all knowledge is of God. To know that about yourself frees you from time and space altogether. It's like the whole thing, the whole what it is you're about, the whole thing what it is I'm about is getting on board with Jesus. Getting on board with the idea that everything I'm doing is preparing me for a revelation. Everything. everywhere I go, every situation I find myself, every encounter I have, it's a holy one. And I'm learning to see it that way again and again and again. I'm learning to heal through my grievances and my judgments and everything again and again and again, refusing to buy into the drama of separation. Doesn't mean that I won't buy into it again. Of course I will. You never know what's around the corner. Something's going to bloody spook you and make you react as if the world was real. That's part of it. It can only make you stronger because you're remembering that you have a purpose. Again and again and again. Get out, get amongst it. Get on the bus and go somewhere new. Get out of your comfort zone. Comfort zones are death zones. Places you feel comfortable, places you feel like you belong, places you feel that's natural and good, and that's where you feel your best self. That's bullshit. That's just an excuse so you don't have to make any confrontation with your own denial and live your life on your own terms instead. Every spiritual teacher on the history of the planet has always told every student, get out of your comfort zone. Beware of comfort zones. Always step into the new moment, the unfamiliar moment, the unknown. Let whatever comes becomes. Become a bold adventurer. Walk out of your house. Let the bank claim the mortgage. Do whatever it takes. This is salvation we're talking about. This is not about getting a pay rise at your job. This is not about mastering all the moves in the Kama Sutra. This is salvation. This is literally the redemption of your soul from the wheel of reincarnation. Think about it. Reincarnation. It's just as illusory as anything else, but it seems pretty damn real while you're in it. Reincarnation's not real. The world is not real. The dream, this body, it's not real. It has no reality whatsoever. It's either remembered or anticipated. But my remembering and anticipation of it is extremely real to me. If I kick my toe on the end of the bed, it hurts. Lord knows how Jesus had a grin on his face when they drove the nails into his hands and feet. He's like the Wim Hof of his time. Like, just, man, that guy was, he was totally detached from the body. He just didn't see himself as that body at all. I mean, for most of us, we could go down to the body piercing shop and get a piercing and practice not feeling it. Yep, just do it. And when you're in a certain mental state, you don't feel it. But there's a greater capacity for management, or there's a greater capacity for realizing the true nature of our mind, which is embracing the non-temporal perspective of our divinity. It's like, let me embrace that. That's the biggest, scariest nail in my hands and feet that I'm going to have to pull out that there's ever going to be. In the Course, Jesus says, I crucified but myself. So, man, let me find where it is I've crucified myself. Let me find those victim places. Let me find those horrible, dark places. When you go on a journey somewhere, there's always trepidation at the beginning. I mean, imagine, what's his name, that climbed Everest, Sir Edmund Hillary. On one hand, you got the passion and the decision and the whole thing going on to want to do that and be the first guy on the top of the rock. And on the other hand, it's like, I got no reference for this. I'm the first one. That's some scary shit. Every single footfall, every single hand grip could be the last one. You put it all on the line to achieve the goal. Salvation is a bigger goal than that. You got to put it all on the line. Jesus says, give up the world and follow me. Is that what I do? Do I give up the world? Do I let the bank take my house? Do I look back at my kids and think about how they're going to support themselves without me? All these things that goes through the mind. It's like, if I truly knew the world wasn't real, if I truly knew this was an illusion and that my kids and everyone and everything else is waiting in a whole nother dimension, a whole nother state, it's like being in a coma in a hospital. And in the coma there, you're experiencing a false reality. There's your kids and there's everyone and everything around you, but they're actually in the hospital waiting for you to wake up. You've got to summon up the power to leave them in your coma, to awaken to the truth of them where they actually are. How are you going to do that without God? Because to you, it's totally real. I need God every moment. I need the presence of God as my conscious, abiding state every single moment of the day. If somebody says something to me, what am I doing? Am I seeing the Christ? Am I seeing the Holy Spirit speaking through that person, or am I seeing a someone or a something? Do I think I have an option? If everything is a lesson God would have me learn, where are my options in learning? There aren't any. I can choose to either learn or not learn, and that's a conscious choice. It's like Anna said, look at all the lessons I've learned in denial already that are so hard and twisted and warped and bitter, and it's taken me repetitions, thousands and thousands of times to learn them. Even when you're a kid in school, you have to write 100 lines. I will not talk in class. I will not talk in class. I will not talk in class. It's the same thing as A Course in Miracles. I'm whole and perfect as God created me. I'm whole and perfect as God created me. It's anti-learning for a true purpose. Give up the world and follow me. It's a very, very simple equation. Jesus knocks on your door right now. Right now. Give up the world and follow me. Is it yes, Lord, or yes, but let me just, the merchant on the road. Let me just go and sell my goods in the marketplace, Rabbi, and then I will follow you. Nah, too late. The kingdom of heaven waits for no man. So I'm constantly looking at my yes and seeing if there's a no there in my brother's request, in my situations and relationships at work, at home, everywhere. My yes is being reflected back to me. And it's only my own honesty to perceive it, however it is that the reflection shows up, that allows me to move forward, that allows me to actually convert or to change or to heal what is actually my no to my yes. Because the whole script is a script of no. And now I'm looking at it again saying, all right, I see that I've been saying no to God all these years, all these lifetimes, and now I'm going to repent. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to start saying yes. Yes, wow, and thank you. Yes, wow, and thank you. And in the moment where I'm asked to say yes, it's going to be scary because it's going to necessitate change. It's going to necessitate me having to get out of a comfort zone in my own mind and embrace something new. Allow something else to occur that's not of my own making. It's your own making that got you into this mess. Now, something else not of your own making is what's going to get you out of it. Yes, wow, and thank you. Here I am, Lord. Keep your finger on your nose. All of these simple principles, all of these simple practices. And you can't be reminded of them often enough. Am I truly about my Father's business, or am I just here to get a little bit better off in the world, a little bit happier in the world? Do I truly want salvation? Do I truly want escape from the wheel of reincarnation? It's like the realization in the mind. It's like, what am I really doing here? The big picture. Sometimes I sit and I look at the big picture and I'm like, it blows me away. It's like there are dimensions and realms and celestial arrangements that are in place for my salvation that I'm not even aware of. All I'm aware of is the little tiny scenarios that seem to go on in my own 24/7 existence. And these lessons that I'm told to apply the principle of in those scenarios to bring about changes in my thinking. So I can see the same world that I'm seeing now, but without being attached to it one way or the other. I don't see a good world or a bad world anymore. I just see a world that reflects nothing more than a dream that I once dreamt, that I'm now awakening from and helping my brothers to awaken from with me as we take our place as saviors of the world. And that doesn't look like anything more than this. But the big picture, where I realize that there's a Jesus still in charge of the atonement after 2,000 years. There's a book that he channels 50 odd years ago, still working, still collapsing time, still bringing truth and reason. It's like, holy shit, I've been called. Somehow I'm part of it. I don't understand my part. I have to learn it. I'm learning it bit by bit. I'm learning it day by day. Every time I get out of my comfort zone, every time I confront something that's unfamiliar or takes me into new territory, it teaches me something more about the capacity of my mind to love. It teaches me more and more that only love is acceptable to me and nothing else, not anymore. I'm not going to overlook the slightest little sigh of discontent. I'm not going to overlook the slightest little insult or the slightest little inconvenience. It's like, no, there's my work in front of me. There's a place for forgiveness there in my mind because I'm the one that noticed it and I'm the one that reacted to it and I'm the one that sees something other than love. I wouldn't see it at all if my mind was totally in the abidance of the presence of God within me. All I would see would be love. But whilst I still believe in an alternative and an opposite, then I have to fully adopt and take on board that mantle of healer, teacher. I teach to learn, I teach to learn, I teach to learn. And some of you guys are out there teaching now and doing your own thing with this and offering the universal curriculum in Zoom meetings or in poetry or in art or in dance or whatever it is. You're offering that idea that I'm not limited. I'm still confronted by limitation, but I'm not limited because I'm miracle-minded. There's a miracle for this. If this is God's will, that this is what I should be about, then there's a miracle for it. And that miracle is for the release of my mind from the idea of limitation, separation, etc. It's not about the accomplishment of whatever it is in a dream because that just doesn't matter. All that matters is the truth. In this moment, I'll realize the truth, but I have to be miracle-minded about it. Have you ever read the book Illusions, The Adventures of the Reluctant Messiah by Richard Bach, the same guy that wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull? He wrote, his second book was called Illusions, The Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah. Beautiful book, just a little fictional book about two pilots, fundamentally. There's a little preamble kind of story, but there's the story of two pilots that fly. Oops. Parrot's doing some house cleaning. Two pilots that fly joy flights around the Midwest in the United States, and they hop from field to field, farm to farm, and people come and take flights in their airplanes, and they charge whatever, $3 or something. And the one pilot is a Zen master, and the other pilot is just a pilot. And the Zen master never gets any bugs on his windscreen, never runs out of fuel, never has to clean his plane. He doesn't charge anything for his flights. And the other guy charges, I think it was something like $3. I don't know when the book was written, probably in the 70s, but $3. He's always having to stop for fuel. He gets oil stains down his canvas on his plane, and like his whole path of learning in flying alongside this other guy that he meets is how it is that the other guy seems to never have any problems, never have any drama, and his drama is always with him. And understanding that it's just his state of mind. And there are things in your life that you'll realize as you go through the process of your own healing. There are things in your life that you'll realize that no longer correspond to you in the world. It's not even that you're seeing them differently. They're just not there anymore. Because the need for the drama that involved the manifestation of those things to support the idea of the fact that you think you're separate from God is gone from your thinking. It's like a chessboard. You've taken a bishop off the board and you've healed that bishop. The rest of the game now can't be played. So the whole game of chess is gone from your life. The idea of competition or a winner or a loser, just through taking responsibility for one thing on that board, trying to get the better of somebody, because you're only ever trying to get the better of yourself. It's like sharing is caring. We're here to share. We're here to share the love of God with those also who have it, but remember not that they have it. And they'll be given. And in your willingness to share it, in your willingness to recognize the opportunity through listening to that inner voice that speaks for the love of God, you'll be put into a momentary place where, holy shit, what should I say here, Father? What should I do? I recognize this as an opportunity. Quite often there'll be a pregnant pause or a moment, and you'll recognize the moment. Jesus talks about it as an out-of-sequence time interval. It's like something's just a little bit off or a little bit different. You step back, you ask, what do I say? What do I do? I had a moment yesterday, somebody online who's back again. Somebody online who's keen to, well, I think who's keen to be physically involved with me. And it's like, I don't find that anywhere in my mind. I don't have a thing with that these days, but we went out for a lunch date, I guess you'd call it, or a lunch meeting. Despite the fact that I recognized there was some resistance in me to be part of that initially. And in the course of the lunch meeting and everything that happened, something occurred that totally flipped that over in my mind, where I realized that the purpose of the meeting was divine, and I allowed that to flow from my lips, from my actions, from my whatever. And it was a beautiful afternoon with no necessity to follow up or do anything else after about it. There was a total recognition between the two of us. There was a moment that occurred right towards the end where an unspoken mutual understanding of the true nature for the relationship actually presented itself. And there was like this thing in me, and I'm like, right, that's done. And she had the same thing. She's like, oh, that's done. Whatever that was, it's done. And it's kind of nice. So the script could have gone the other way, of course. There could have been the physical interaction and the whole other thing. And then 10 years down the track, I'd be sitting here again, signing divorce papers or whatever else. But my purpose went with me. My purpose went with me, and I knew why I was there. I knew why I was asked along on that particular thing and why it all came to fruition. And that 10 years of time, I'm just guessing, but that 10 years of time between when it began and when it might have ended 10 years from now was snipped out of my timeline. There was no need for it. The recognition of holiness occurred after a couple of hours, and there was this mutual sort of doneness, which was nice. So give up the world and follow me. You're just exiting the dream. It's like the thing that, or awakening from the dream. And the only way out is through. I have to face my own denial. I have to look at my script. I have to look at my story, my judgments, my grievances. It's like I've been burning bridges as I go, burning bridges. And I've got all these stories and history and whatever. And most of it I don't even remember. But as I suddenly stop and go, I can't do this anymore, I'm going to repent. And I turn around and I start going back. I come to my burnt bridges. It's like, oh my God, how do I get across? I need a miracle. This person, this situation, this event. I have to face this again. I have to look at this again. And it may not be the same person, situation, or event, because it's just energy. You'll just recognize it by its signature. This person is like that person. This is the same situation I was in 5 years ago. Blah, blah, blah. You either react to it and buy into it, or you heal it. I'm going to build a bridge here and I'm going to get over it. I don't need to dwell here and figure out who's better or who's worse or who was right and who was wrong or any of that stuff. It's just a dream. But the bridge is repaired with love. And then that person goes with you back across that bridge with you. That situation goes with you across that bridge with you. Because your thoughts go with you wherever you go, and that person exists only in your mind in thought. That situation exists only in your mind in thought, because it's only my own thoughts that tell me where I am and what's happening. What I think I see out and around me is nothing more than an illusion, just a dream, just a mad idea of separation. Why would you react at all to figures in a dream if you truly knew you were dreaming? Let them be as spiteful and hateful as they can be. You wouldn't react at all unless you failed to realize that it was just simply your dream. You'll find yourself laying on a blanket with some totally random person in the sun in the park and just remembering the love of your father in that moment, and it'll be perfect. That's what it's about. You just say yes, and then what it's about reveals itself. Well done, Tina. There's like gold tick there on the... We'll go to the Akashic records like when this is all done, and we'll be like, hey, look, there's that guy from the blanket. Probably the same guy that played the part of the rat, you know, like that's that same guy that was the rat. He was like the rat in the last scene, and now he's manifested as a person on a blanket. I've healed that, obviously. All right, any questions? Anything? Anyone got a story? Anna, you're doing incredibly well. I think it's time Anna and Tina had a cross-country bifocal contingency, whatever that is, and came to us live from Las Vegas, Nevada or something like that. That would be cool. Go to that dome. You know that new dome thing? I think it's open.
In Vegas?
In Vegas, they have this thing.
I have no idea what's happening in Vegas.
You're about to, maybe. So Anna's keen. She's in her car now. She's like, I'm just going. I got a pair of jeans and a toothbrush. I'm going. I got one robe. Bring one robe and follow me. In Las Vegas, they've built this thing.
That's halfway.
Hey?
Tom's in Chicago. That's halfway.
Yeah.
What's in Chicago? I don't even know where these places are. Tom's in Chicago. Well, maybe Tom will go with you. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. Tom's all have the same kind of thing. Like my second name is Thomas, so we got hips. We can do that thing. In Las Vegas, they've built this big thing like the Death Star from Star Wars. It's enormous. It's a big globe. Have you seen it?
Yeah,
No.
I've heard of
Right.
it.
Right. I watched a little thing of there's like 1,000 people. It's like a theater or something. I don't know exactly what's the deal, but you sit in there and there's this like all around you screen that's just I don't know.
Huh.
I think it'll be good. Bye, Bernadette. Bernadette's going too. She's going to meet you in Las Vegas. Anyway, we'll put that one on the pin board. We'll put that on the to-do list, and we'll see if salvation calls on it. All right, I love you guys. I'm out of here. Going to go and have some breakfast. No questions? Kevin, you got to get out of bed.
In the shadows. He's out
next-
there, but in the shadows.
Yeah, he's in the shadow now. Look.
Yeah, I
Who
got
else is in bed? Tom out of bed. We're going to have our next session. We'll be doing calisthenics. We'll have a thing at the gymnasium or something. Oh, there's Brian. So, all right, I love you guys. Peace.
Bye. Thank you. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, my brothers, who I love.
Bye, everyone. Love you.
Venka. Hi, lovely. You're so beautiful. I was like, oh, she's so beautiful.
Yeah, I love you too, Tina. I'm going to come and visit you one day.
Cannot wait.
I truly want to come and see you. I keep thinking, why I want to come back to America, but I'd like to be with some really lovely, wholesome, happy, adventurous people. You know?
I don't know how wholesome I am, but
come and visit you. Yeah.
a couple of those I can tick off.
We'll go down to Las Vegas.
Las Vegas is all right with me. Yeah, it's easy to catch a bus to Vegas.
I'm happy. Sounds awesome.
I can't wait. Just love you so much. So.
I will put that on my pin book.
Pin it.
I love you.
I love you.
Thank you.
I love you.
Thank you.